Hello and welcome to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Blair Malloy. I'm joined today by Serie A commentator Paul Visca as we look ahead to Atalanta versus Celtic in the Champions League. Paul, Celtic taking on Atalanta this week after that demoralising 7-1 defeat against Borussia Dortmund. What kind of team are Celtic coming up against in Atalanta?
They are coming up against the Europa League holders, the defending champions, a quality team who, if they hit the right kind of match that they're capable of, they can do the same damage that Borussia did. There's no doubt about that. If instead it's not the match that they want to play, Celtic can get a result.
You touched on that Europa League success last year. Is it much the same style of side and personnel that won that title last year?
Yeah. Gasperini has one style of football, and that is to press, and push forward and press. High defence, Celtic can maybe get the better of that high defence, loop the ball over the top. And the thing about the Borussia Dortmund defeat was, I read the editorial, I think it was on the BBC, and they said, why didn't Celtic defend? Because trying to play their attacking game, it left them wide open. But you can't constantly defend. Even Celtic have tried to defend in Europe in the past, and they got thumped at the Camp Nou by Barcelona with 7 goals, I think they scored. And it was playing their anti-football in Barcelona. They were criticised for playing their anti-football. There, Brendan Rodgers tried to play an attacking game, tried to play his own brand of football. It didn't work because Borussia Dortmund are arguably amongst the best teams in Europe. And so it was a good lesson for the players. They've got to step up. Demoralising over the first 48 hours after a 7-1 thumping, obviously. Then you look back at it and you think, okay, where did I go wrong? And I can't make the same mistakes against Atalanta because you will be punished the same way.
Obviously, one of the men that stole the show in that Europa League final last year was Ademola Lookman scoring that hat-trick. Is he really the key man for this Atalanta side, or are there threats all over the park that Celtic should be wary of?
That's one of the points, is that Lookman was kind of under the radar. Okay, he grabbed his goals, he's a skillful player, and it was always Cop Miners. So they sold Cop Miners for 50, 60 million, whatever, to Juventus. And Lookman then gave him more space, and you can see what a quality player he is. But there is an attacking threat all over the pitch. And when they're on song, they are an entertaining team to watch and a terrible team to defend against. They can score from anywhere. The fullbacks go galloping down the flanks. You saw Duron score an absolute cracker last weekend on the volley at the edge of the penalty area. Pasalic gets himself into the penalty area. De Ketelaar is another quality player. And Celtic's defence needs to be as sharp, probably, as it hasn't been yet so far this season.
You spoke about Gasperini there having one style of play. That has been levelled at Brendan Rodgers a lot in the Scottish press over the last couple of weeks, that he's adopted this attacking system perhaps when he should have sat in and been a little bit more contained. Do you think it'll be two managers who are going in there with their own styles, backing themselves to get a result out of it?
Definitely, because the new format, if you get your 3 points, those 3 points are yours, and you don't need that many wins to qualify for the next phase, or even for the play-out phase. And so you've got to go, you've got to say the new format does tend to promote attacking football, because the 3 points are there all the time. You can't say, okay, I can wait, and I'll wait until they come back to Parkhead and I'll get my 3 points there, because you won't. And even then, Celtic have not done that well at Parkhead recently in European football either. And so both coaches, I think Brendan Rodgers will go for it again. Will he try and sit tight? Can he sit tight? Does he have a defensive tactical setup? And the one thing is, though, that Atalanta do struggle against teams that do sit deep. That is true. And then hit on the counter-attack. When Atalanta are given the entire pitch to push forward and on the counter-attack themselves, they're devastating. When they're asked to play their game and play against maybe 8 at the back, for example, a team like Lecce might go up to Bergamo and sit 8 at the back, then they really struggle. And they've been caught out a couple of times this season already. But they were caught out by Inter at San Siro and they were thumped. And that was Inter playing attacking football.
Interesting points to note for Celtic fans looking at that game. For the Celtic fans going over there to Bergamo, what can they expect arriving in Italy?
Bergamo is very Scottish, and the kind of city and the people. They're direct. The accent. I always imagine that if Sean Connery had an Italian accent, it would be an accent from Bergamo. There's two cities. There's the Bergamo Alto, and then there's the city which is below. The city, which is the old historic city, is absolutely beautiful. And the fans they're tough, and they really back their side. And again, this is like Aberdeen, where you've got one club in a smaller city, and they all live, breathe, think about Atalanta the entire week. That is their club.
Paul, just to push you on that game, can I get a wee score prediction from you?
I fancy a score draw, Blair. Let's go for 2-2. If not 4-4. Make it a belter for the fans.
Ends up 4-4. We'll be getting you back on here to sing your praises, because that will be an absolutely incredible game. Paul, thank you very much for joining us on PRZ Soccer ahead of Atalanta Celtic. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like and follow us on all our social media platforms.